My friends, match day one has officially concluded for this World Cup. Match day one is done. Match day one of the World Cup has officially concluded. But we're going to dive into this World Cup and the other half of match day one, and we're going to summarize from Group G to Group L. We are going to summarize this rest of the World Cup, and match day one has been concluded. For those that don't know, this is pase ambidiestro, ambidextrous pass, fútbol honestamente, soccer, football honestly. But we're gonna start with some of the games that stood out in this second half of match day one. We have a game that is France against Senegal. A France that is in Group I, a France that won 3-1, and this highly anticipated rematch of the iconic 2002 clash just saw France successfully avoid the upset by defeating Senegal 3-1. And Senegal put a fierce physical battle early on, but France's overwhelming world-class attacking talent eventually just took control of the second half. The match became a major talking point, and as it proves that Les Bleus possess the mental resilience and squad depth in the amount of another serious title run. This France team is stacked. Yes, there is other European teams that are stacked, but this France team is stacked. And can they get all the way to the final? Yes. Do they have the talent? Do they have the depth? Yes. And they started their World Cup campaign with a statement. Even though they struggled in the first half, they had ball most of the time. And in the second half, you have players like Olise opening the game, creating, putting opportunities, and you have an Mbappe that, hey, is Mbappe. If you don't know by now that he will be a figure in the World Cup, you're not watching closely, as everybody else is. Mbappe and Haaland were supposed to be the top two scorers, but then Messi came a long way and he scored a hat-trick. A hat-trick to be the top scorer in this World Cup just in match day one. But this France team, they took control of the game. Even though they struggled at the beginning, they found a way. They kept resilient, and their midfield creation, those players that might play on the wings, they can do that transition of coming to the midfield and creating from their own, and it's something that we see in this game from Olise. But this French team starts their journey in this World Cup with a statement 3-1, and they are coming strong. Then in Group K, we have a Portugal against Congo, a game that ended 1-1. It surprised many. And they are heavy favorites, but Portugal, they suffer a frustrating setback as a stubborn Congo side just fought hard to earn a tense 1-1 draw. Portugal, they just struggle to establish their usual attacking fluidity through the midfield and stability through the midfield, and this allowed the African nation to exploit defensive gaps in the counter. Portugal drop two crucial points right out of the gate, and it has raised tactical questions surrounding the Portugal's defense stability. But Portugal has currently the best two midfielders that won the Champions League, which is Vitinha, Joao Neves, and on top of that, they have Nuno Mendes, who plays as a left back, and is such an attacking player that should put you on a higher platform, you could say, because these players have chemistry. Then on top of that, you have the best midfielder of the Premier League currently playing for this Portugal team. And this midfield was not able to find clear opportunities or produce clear opportunities. And could it be because, it's only the first game back? Could it be because it's the pressure? Could it be actual tactical things going on? But in this Portugal national team, there is a topic of discussion. And of course, this comes down to people who support Cristiano Ronaldo and people that, in other words, dislike or hate Cristiano Ronaldo. But a lot of people argue that he is holding this Portugal team back. Everybody is entitled to their opinions, and everybody can see what they want of the game, the players, the tactical execution. But you cannot argue that this Cristiano Ronaldo does not add some type of quality to this Portuguese team. Why? Because whether Ronaldo scores or doesn't score, Ronaldo will be and will make a difference just for now being Cristiano Ronaldo. What do I mean by that? Players like Cristiano Ronaldo in games, some people might say that he's already in that retirement time stage or he should already be. But players like Cristiano Ronaldo, just knowing how dangerous he is, there is a tendency of teams overloading him, marking him with more than one or two men, and that gives you an advantage. He might be a decoy you can use. So he makes a difference. He still makes a difference whether he score or he doesn't. He still makes a difference. And there's other arguments. There's plenty other arguments that can follow. A lot of people say that yes, he's holding Portugal back. Is he really? I do not think so. I don't agree. But in football and in the world, that's the beauty. Everybody has different point of views. Everybody can argue their point of view. But this Portugal team just needs to get their midfield on in a better flow so the ball can have better movement and find the pockets that are needed to find the precision, the placement of the ball, so this Portugal team can be a little bit more dangerous. But then in Group L, we have England too. And England that won 4-2 against Croatia. And England that looked amazing. And England that brought a different type of energy this time around, if you ask me. England kicked off the World Cup campaign with an explosive 4-2 victory and over longtime rivals Croatia in the thrilling high-scoring encounter. The match served as massive talking point due to England's lethal offensive display with completely exposed uncharacteristic defensive vulnerabilities in a veteran Croatian squad. This decisive win firmly just cements the Three Lions as front runners while forcing Croatia into a difficult uphill battle to survive Group L. Tuchel has introduced the structure and fluidity to this England team that is needed. Tuchel has come to put structure and also the fluidity that this team needs with the ball to be as dangerous as they can be and to be as secure as they can be defensively too. And this first game against Croatia, a Croatia that has been showing up for the past 2-3 World Cups, and it has been getting close to the podium every time they have competed in this World Cup in the past 2-3 World Cups. And for Croatia, the main thing is to focus on strengthening those weak links. While England seem firm and steady with Tuchel, they just need to keep pushing on the beliefs and on the beliefs of their system and perfecting the system so their game can be the same that it was in this specific game. Why do I say that? Because I believe that Croatia is a great competition, and England does compete, but there's something about England getting all the way to the last stages of a tournament and just not being able to keep pushing. But if this England is able to put itself together and Tuchel is able to get that out of the players, England is a favorite for this World Cup. There's many favorites in this World Cup. But England starts strong against a very competitive opponent and they win 4-2. Jude, Kane, Rashford, they stood up, they came out, they did what they had to do, and they got the results for this English team that is star studded, is stocked with some of the best footballers in England, in the Premier League, and in Europe. But we're gonna jump straight to these groups. We already summarized Group 8 through Group F, 8 through F. We already summarized. Now we're gonna jump from G all the way to Group L. We're gonna jump from Group G to Group L. In Group G is an absolute deadlock. A pair of highly competitive scorelines has left this entire group level with points with nearly position entirely dictated by total goals scored. New Zealand has 1 point, 0 goal difference, 2 goals in favor. Holds the technical top spot after battling a while back and forth 2-2 draw against Iran. Iran has 1 point, 0 goal difference, and 0 goal difference, and 2 goals in favorite. Then this Iran team shares the exact statistical ceiling with all whites, and after their high scoring opening deadlock. And then you have Belgium and Egypt with 1 point each. 0 goal difference, 1 goal in favorite. They sit just behind a total goal after the Pharaohs stifled the Red Devils in a tightly contested 1-1 structural chess match. Then in Group H, we have a defensive gridlock. Group H provided the lowest scoring, most defensively defense sequence of the tournament, leaving all 4 teams completely tied. Uruguay and Saudi Arabia, 1 point each. 0 goal difference, 1 goal favor, occupied the upper rung after the Green Falcons capitalized on the goalkeeper error before Uruguay eventually clawed back to a late 1-1 draw. Then you have Spain again and Cabo Verde. Each ended in a draw. This game ended in a draw, and each team has 1 point in this group. There's a 0 goal difference, 0 goals favorite, and dominated the global headlines as tournament debutants. Cabo Verde successfully executed a legendary low block. They were just defending, trying to play the counterattack. They couldn't go past the mid, but they were just defending, playing a low block against one of the favorites, Spain. A Spain that is up there in the top 7 teams that are favorite and that are contenders for this specific World Cup we are seeing at the moment. But this Cabo Verde just frustrated La Roja and a star-studded Roja that the front line, just couldn't solve. The midfield couldn't solve the game. But this Cabo Verde secures a historic tie, 0-0 shutout. Then in Group I, we had the 2-horse heavyweight race. Built as one of the most definite groups of death, Group I has immediately separated into a clear top-tier battle for dominance. Norway has 3 points and 3 goal and a positive 3 goal difference. Norway claims the top seed following a dominant 4-1 dismantling Iraq and marked by Haaland scoring twice in a historic World Cup debut. Haaland is second or third in the top scorers in this World Cup. Currently, Haaland has a brace in this one game against Iraq. Then you have a France that takes a 3 points in a positive 2 goal difference. It kept the perfect pace by navigating a physical rematch against Senegal to win 3-1, powered by a record-breaking Kylian Mbappe brace, and a Kylian Mbappe that was top scorer for all the World Cups with 14 goals. But Lionel Messi, Kane, one of the best of our time, if not the best of our time, and decided to put a hat-trick and goes to be the top scorer of all the World Cups in history with 16 goals. But then we have a Senegal and a Iraq in this Group I. that both got 0 points. Senegal has a -2 goal difference, and Iraq has a -3 goal difference. They face a massive must-win pressure heading straight into match day 2. Then we have a Group J, which has Argentina's statement defense. The defending world champions made their intentions perfectly clear. They made their intentions perfectly clear. With a clinical commanding tournament debut, Argentina has 3 points. It has a positive 3 goal difference. They storm into the top of the group by just blanking Algeria 3-0, highlighted by magical Lionel Messi hat trick. A magical Lionel Messi hat trick, something that none of us were expecting, and not a lot of us were expecting. But since we are touching Argentina, there is a very, very contradicting topic. Many have already discussed it, and many know where I'm going with this. There was a foul from Lionel Messi when they were playing against Algeria. The world knows, for all of those that either support him or don't support him, you know. But in reality, it was a foul. Some may be delusional. The truth can be right in front of you, but if you don't want to accept the truth, you become delusional. That is just what it is. Was it a foul that showed a lot of strength being put into it? No. However, was it an aggressive foul? Yes. Where the foul is and where Messi puts his foot, is it a dangerous spot? Yes, it is. In leagues like the Premier League, that would have been a straight red. What rules do apply to Messi? That's the only question. Because if it was another player, if it was the other way around, if it was the Algerian defender doing that to Lionel Messi, for those that are not delusional, no, that would have been a red card. That is just very, very sad to see. Everybody has their opinion on rules and likeness and this and that of each player. But as a fan of football and enjoying some of the best players that are out there and have made history, personally, I do believe that that foul was worthy of a check and at least to be a yellow card, if not a red. But many delusionals out there believe that it was not a foul and it was just a little nice caress on the player's calf. But Messi, it was a great display. Do I believe this hat trick would have happened if that card came out? The hat trick would have not happened. But sometimes we gotta enjoy it. And those that ended up in a bad predicament like Algeria, in to a degree, sometimes they just have to put their head down and keep pushing. But this shows you who the rules apply to in this game. But then we'll move on to Austria. And Austria that takes 3 points and takes a positive 2 goal difference. Sits cleanly in the second after executing Ralph Rangnick's intense passing system to defeat the Bjorn's Jordan 3-1. And then Jordan sits with 0 points and a -2 goal difference. And Algeria sits with 0 points with a -3 goal difference, rooted to the bottom and desperately needing to shore up their defensive structures. In Group K, we have Colombia, who flies, and Portugal, who slips. Tactical discipline, out wide, and defensive counter-pressing have dictated the early standing in Group K. Colombia takes 3 points and a positive 2 goal difference, assumed outright control of the table by comfortably crushing Uzbekistan 3-1. Then we have Congo and Portugal with 1 point each and 0 goal difference. Caused a mirror shock wave. It caused a minor shock wave as a stubborn Congolese squad just successfully contained Cristiano Ronaldo's front line to rescue a historic 1-1 draw, celebrating their first ever tournament goal. And at the bottom of Group K, we have Uzbekistan with 0 points and a -2 goal difference. They sit fourth, hunting for defensive adjustments before facing Portugal. Then we get to the last group. We get to the last group of this World Cup, which is Group L. This is another group that has high octane firepower, but this time is England's high octane firepower in this specific group. Group L. Group L delivered the most explosive, entertaining attacking showcase of the rotation, giving the Three Lions an early edge, and the Three Lions that look strong and they seem to have fluidity of the ball with structure. But England takes 3 points and has a positive 2-goal difference, claimed a solo lead after triumphing 4-2 in a spectacular goal fest against longtime rivals Croatia. They are rivals of the continent. They are rivals in the World Cup too. Then we have Ghana, who takes 3 points and a 1-goal difference. Picked up an incredible discipline, gritty 1-0 shutout victory over Panama to clearly lock down second place. In this game, Ghana against Panama, the goal came 5 seconds before the end of the game. It was a game that was fought to the last minute, a very physical game, but Ghana walked away. Ghana walked away with just 1 goal. Just 1 goal. And then, lastly, we have Panama and Croatia, a Panama that takes 0 points. 0 points. And a -1 goal difference, while Croatia takes 0 points and a -2 goal difference. These two teams are left searching for tactical answers with the veteran Croatian backline uncharacteristically exposed. But that's it for the groups. But what do we see from some European nations? The elite destroyers right now at the moment is Germany, England, Sweden, Norway. These 4 nations have completely lived up to their contender status using their sheer attack firepower and high tempo transitions played to ruthlessly dismantle their opening opponents. Germany has a 6-goal difference. They orchestrated the most dominant display in the tournament so far with a 7-1 demolition over Curacao and driven by a masterclass from Kai Havertz. Then you have Sweden with a 4-goal difference. Took absolutely command of Group F by just blowing past Tunisia 5-1, featuring a clinical hat-trick of a goal involvement and Alexander Isak. Then you have Norway with a positive 3-goal difference. Made a massive statement in Group I with 4-1, just rooting of Iraq, highlighted by Erling Haaland bagging a brace in his historic World Cup debut. And then you have England, who has a 2-goal difference. They won an absolute 4-2 thriller against longtime rivals Croatia, showcasing a terrifying, fast, young attack and clinical brace from Harry Kane. Harry Kane, yes, on that first penalty. Things happen. Players just stepped into the box, and that's why he gets the chance to take the penalty again, and he places the penalty in the same spot. But Harry Kane takes a brace. He cannot complain. He takes a brace. Who would not like to have 2 goals in the first match of an opening match day 1 of the World Cup? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to have that? Harry Kane took a brace and gives this English team an advantage. An English team that performed well. But then we also have teams like France and Czech Republic who are navigating the physical test. The French, they have a 2-goal difference. They passed a massive mental and physical test in Group I, facing a highly aggressive, resilient Senegal squad in a rematch of their iconic 2002 opener. Les Bleus also stay very composed and allow Kylian Mbappe brace to power them to a 3-1 victory. A Kylian Mbappe that scored a brace. The first goal, we've seen him do that before, but I believe the second goal was bullet. Nobody's stopping that. Really, really powerful placed shot. Kylian is Kylian. I have said it before. You cannot take away that he has the goal. He has the goal. He has what a team needs if they are missing a top scorer. But these France find themselves navigating the physical test, but they get a win against Senegal. And at the same time, you have a Czech Republic that also are navigating the physical test. They suffer a frustrating setback in Group A, dropping a tight 2-1 match to a highly clinical South Korea despite towering physical performance from midfield Thomas Tuchel. But these two teams find themselves on that physical test, navigating that physical test at the beginning of this World Cup. And then we have the underdog blockades, who are Spain, Portugal, Belgium, and Netherlands. They have been blocked by the underdog. The biggest warning sign for Europe so far has been and inevitably to break down compact low blocks. Lower ranked nations from Africa and the Caribbean are successfully frustrating elite European midfields. Spain, 0 goal difference. They dominated over 75% of their possession tournament. But debutantes Cabo Verde just completely lacked the clinical edge, resulting in a shocking 0-0 because they play a low block. Then you have Portugal, who has a 0 goal difference. They stumble in a disappointing 1-1 draw against Congo. Cristiano Ronaldo and the rest of the front line were just entirely suffocated and starved for service by disciplined Congolese low block. And then you have Belgium, saved by a tactical masterstroke. They were thoroughly choked out by Egypt's midfield. Romelu Lukaku came in off the bench to force a dramatic own goal equalizer just 22 seconds into his shift to rescue the 1-1 draw. Off the bench makes difference. A lot of players are coming off the bench and making difference. And at the same time, you have a Netherlands that played out the game of the tournament so far. A thrilling 2-2 draw against Japan, while Virgil van Dijk and the Dutch offense looked brilliant in stretches. Their defense was heavily exposed by Japan's relentless counter-pressing. But then you have nations that also see early trouble, like Croatia, Switzerland, and Scotland. Scotland has a 1 goal difference, a bright spot among the mid-tier nations. Scotland sits solo atop Group C after a greedy box-to-box masterclass from Scott McTominay to secure a 1-0 over Haiti, capitalizing on the Brazil dropping points. Then you have Switzerland, who has a 0 goal difference, got locked into the calculated slow tempo 1-1 chess match against Qatar, leaving Group B completely gridlock. And then you have Croatia, who lost against England and has a negative 2 goal difference against them. Faces the steepest uphill battle. Their veteran backline was uncharacteristically just exposed again and torn apart by England's pace in their 4-2 defeat, leaving them with 0 points and immediate pressure to survive the group. Croatia has to win the next 2 games if they want to get out of the group stage. Then we have South American nations. We have Argentina and Colombia, who do the direct statement. They are coming straight into this World Cup to make a statement. Argentina has 3 points and a 3-goal difference in Group J. The defending world champions, they just delivered by far the most polished and authoritative South American performance of Matchday 1 with a 3-0 and Messi hat-trick. They completely suffocated Algeria in a dominant 3-0 shutout. Lionel Messi silenced the pre-tournament doubts by netting a magnificent hat-trick, reminding the world that this title still runs through the albiceleste. Then after that, we have Colombia that also takes 3 points and a 2-goal difference in Group K. Colombia safely assumed top control of their group with an incredible sharp athletic 3-1 triumph over Uzbekistan. A Luis Diaz that was the undisputed architect of the night. He assists and he scores, and consistently breaking down the flanks and using his elite transition pace to unlock the stubborn Uzbek defense. As we see, this Luis Diaz was trying to go through the left wing, but it was constantly getting overcrowded with 3-4 players. But then he understood that he had to drop, let the team play, and seek runs from his teammates. And that's exactly what he did for the first goal. A great assist. A really smart ball movement from Luis Diaz just to make sure Munoz puts that ball with his pinky toe nail in the back of the net. But in these South American nations, we also have the heavyweights who stumble, Brazil and Uruguay. Brazil takes 1 point, 0 goal difference in Group C. Carlo Ancelotti's tournament debut was anything but smooth, facing a fiercely physical Morocco team. Brazil midfield was entirely choked out of the first half, forcing them to just trail early. The Senegal looked frantic and disorganized until Vinicius stepped up in the moment of individual brilliance, stumping home and equalized from a tight angle to rescue a disappointing 1-1 draw. And again, I said it before, it feels like this Brazil team is trying to see if Rafinha or Vini can solve the game for them. And that will not get them very far if they're not able to get this whole team in tune, from the defense to the midfield to the forwards, to be able to play like a team and to be able to play in this modern football that requires the team to be in tune and know each other. But then we have Uruguay, a Uruguay that only takes 1 point, 0 goal difference in Group H. Marcelo's Bielsa squad not dragged into they got dragged into a slow, intensely dense defensive gridlock against Saudi Arabia. And after falling behind due to a rare uncharacteristic goalkeeper error, the Sky Blue offense just looked isolated and lacked its usual high pressing bite. They eventually just ground out a late 1-1 equalizer. Uruguay found themselves just chasing the game, but it left plenty of tactical question marks on the pitch. They have a couple days to get their things together for those teams that they are not doing that well, to reassess and organize again, to develop a better game plan if they want to get out of the group stage. But then we have the opening day disasters. We have Paraguay and we have Ecuador. Paraguay 0 points and a negative 3 goal difference in Group D. Paraguay just endured a defensive nightmare against the United States, getting thoroughly dismantled in the brutal 4-1 routing. Despite young star Julio Enciso creating a few big sequences out wide, the backline was completely exposed by the Americans' overwhelming attacking speed, leaving them rooted to the bottom of Group D. And then you have Ecuador, who has 0 points and a negative goal difference in Group E. La Tri played an incredible, disciplined, gritty match, but just suffered the heartbreak of the 1-0. Did they deserve it? For those that watched the game, the score sometimes does not tell the truth of the game, and this is exactly what happens in this game. Ecuador that lost 1-0 in a heartbreaking loss against Ivory Coast, and Ecuador that defense fought heroically, highlighted by Piero Incapié making crucial goal line clearances, but at the same time just being destroyed by a 18-year-old from Ivory Coast. Incapié did suffer, but he also did a great job. But when you suffer against a certain player and you also do a great job, you are in a gray area, and people tend to just be like, he did all right. But this Ivory Coast just got that 1 goal in the last few minutes of the game, and Ivory Coast was able to take it home and take the 3 points. But this Ecuador just lack their clinical offensive execution, ultimately just costing them the match, forcing an immediate uphill climb to survive the group stage. But this is all for match day 1, a World Cup that match day 2 starts Thursday, and it will keep going to summarize match day 2. World Cup has officially ended match day 1. Now we're going into match day 2. And let's enjoy some of the greatest footballers and some of the best new talent coming up and some of the best national teams in this World Cup. Match day 1 has concluded. Now we go on to match day 2. We will be back on Monday. And for those that don't know, esto es Pase Ambidiestro, Ambidextrous Pass, Fútbol Honestamente, Soccer, Football Honestly. And if you like the content, please like and subscribe. If you want to keep up to date on the World Cup, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification button. Thank you. Have a good one.